What is happening, everyone? Hope everyone is all good. First thing I want to say, appreciate and again thank you for all the support that I've had over the last couple of weeks with some of the recent videos. I've had a good few new subscribers coming in. Again, welcome. Appreciate all the support, as I say, and there's just going to be more of these videos coming weekly. Just trying to help educate everybody and steer clear of all of the bullshit that's in the space. So, video today. Last week's was don't mess up your bull. Now this one, don't mess up your cut. Now, this is something that, again, what does everyone want? Everyone on a diet phase, they want to get as lean as they can. They want to get shredded six-pack abs, vascularity everywhere. They just want to be, everyone wants to get in shit hot condition and not lose any muscle tissue on the way down, but people get it wrong all the time, and then they end up skinny, like stringy, like they've lost a lot of weight, but they've also lost muscle tissue on the way down, and it can all be avoided especially if you follow a couple of these steps here, right? So let's get into some of the main tips that you want to take on board. Again, if you're in a diet phase now, or you're coming up to starting one, again with summer coming up over the next couple of months, these very, very important things that you need to take into consideration, right? First one, you've got to get your deficit right. Now, as we know, dropping body fat is the law of thermodynamics. We need to be expending more energy throughout the day than what we're taking in. So we have to be in a net energy deficit. People can argue about that all they want. That's the facts. We need to be in an energy deficit. Now, we don't want to be in such a small deficit that it's going to take us 11 months, 12 months to get to our desired leanness. That's just pathetic. Who wants to be in a diet phase for a year? We also don't want to be too aggressive where we're in a 1,500, 2,000 calorie a day deficit, because you're more than likely going to lose some muscle tissue. Performance is going to take a drastic hit, and again, will be coupled with muscle tissue loss, and just well-being will take a hit. You'll feel like absolute boiled shite if you're in a 2,000 calorie deficit, right? So you want to find the sweet spot. It's going to be around 500 to 1,000 calories daily for most people. Now, you're going to be on the higher end of that. If you've got more body fat to lose, you're going to be on the higher end of that. As you start to get leaner and you really do start to creep down, let's say closer to that 10% body fat, where your risk of muscle tissue loss, it goes up a touch, your deficit is going to shorten, that window will come right down, and you'll more than likely be around that 500 calorie deficit range. You don't want to go any lower than that because, as I say, you'll be dieting for too long. You don't really want to go much above that, 1,000 calories. Some people can handle a slightly little bit higher if they have got more body fat to lose. But in general, on average, you're going to be around here. Again, so you're going to be dropping body fat at a decent rate, and you're also going to maintain decent performance and well-being. Job done. Tick the box. That's what you want. That's number one. Number two, very, very, very important. Training should remain the same. This is not a time to be coming in and completely revamping training in terms of all of a sudden just running supersets and high volume shit. Whatever has built your muscle tissue is what is going to retain it. That should be common sense to a lot of people. I don't know why people mess this one up. There's a lot of bullshit in the space where people think high reps, supersets, shorter rest, all this stuff, it cuts you up, it tones the muscle. What a load of nonsense that is. Whatever training will build muscle tissue will retain it, right? It's as simple as that. Please get that in your head. What built your muscle tissue will retain it, right? Just good, legit programming, as we know. Heavy, hard sets, taken very close to failure or to failure with legit technique in that 6 to 15, 6 to 20 rep range, right? That's what's going to retain your muscle tissue. You still have to train hard. You can't come in and train like a fanny and expect to retain muscle tissue. It will not happen. The only tweaks that you can potentially make, and I've spoke about this one before, as you get leaner, you can maybe bring in exercises that offer you a little bit more stability. So unstable exercises or unstable exercises, let's just take an incline dumbbell press. As you start to get leaner, it may make sense to switch from an incline dumbbell press to maybe an incline machine press, because you have the external stability from the actual machine itself, which then allows you to create a little bit more internal stability, and then you put more force output through the actual pecs instead of having to stabilize the dumbbells yourself. This makes a difference as you get very lean and you start getting close to 10-11% body fat, give or take. So that's one change that you can make. And then the other change that you can potentially make, again, as you get leaner, it makes more sense. You can drop off a little bit of volume. So let's say you're hitting your chest as an example with 8 working sets across the week. That could maybe come down to 6. Because we don't have the same ability to recover, again, the amount of volume that you need in a week to retain muscle tissue is a little bit lower than what you might need to actually gain. So if you're doing 8 sets for chest, you can literally drop that to 6. So again, you don't have the same recovery abilities. So it makes sense at some point to make a little bit of an adjustment with some volume parameters, if you need it, of course. Right, so that's number 2. Number 3, everyone's favourite. Everyone loves to talk about steps. You see it all the time, 10 to 15k steps. What's so important about this now? This isn't just some fad or some nonsense and that people have just got on the hype train and just keep going on about. There's a reason for getting your step count up, right? With steps, it's not going to replace cardio. If someone wants to do cardio, again, cardio specifically is great for heart health. Now, the devil is in the dose with things. With steps, right? Steps are such an easy way to get, again, to burn 500-600 calories in a day. If someone is going to do between 10 and 15k steps, the average person, roughly, if you're going to do 10,000 steps, the average person can burn anywhere from 400 to 500 calories just off 10,000 steps. So if you get on the north end of 10,000, you might be able to burn a little bit more than that. But it's an easy way to get your energy expenditure and your calorie burn up. Very, very easy way. But this is the most important thing, and this is what everybody forgets. Why do we harp on about steps? Because steps, they don't mess with your training. They don't inhibit training performance. That is the problem that people do. When they do too much cardio, they're out doing plenty of runs, they're on the Stairmaster constantly, they're pounding the pavement constantly like this, the knees, their ankles, the hips, glutes, everything just takes a beating. So then when they come in to train legs, they're fucking knackered because the cardio has beat them up too much. And then that makes no sense because your training is your number one priority. That is what is going to maintain your muscle tissue. So if you're going to hinder your training performance because of the cardio that you're doing, that makes no sense. That is backwards thinking. Steps will never interfere with your training unless you're consistently going north of 20k a day. Some people can handle it, but some people will notice heavier legs and fatigue that will be carried in the legs if steps become too high. So a sweet spot is around 10 to 15k steps daily. It just keeps your expenditure and calorie burn in a consistent spot throughout your deficit and without impeding or having a negative impact on your training, and that's what steps are all about. Can you throw in some cardio on the side? Yeah, but you just need to be careful of your placement of it and, again, how much you're doing. The devil is in the dose, as always. So that's the other one. Steps, huge. Now, number 4, let's get on to a little bit more of the nutrition side of things. Now, this is something I deal with clients quite a lot, with meal plans, and they're asking for examples of meal structure, how to go about it. What I always recommend for a lot of people is find certain meals that you like to eat. Have like a select 5 or 6 meals and just rotate through them. Eat similar meals daily. Stop trying to be this big gourmet chef and trying to make different meals every day, because you're going to make it harder for yourself in a deficit. Just find meals that you like, that fit your macro structure, like your protein. You spread your protein out, your carbs pre-training, enough fat in each meal, whatever you need, whatever your structure is, just find things that fit your macro structure and stick to it. It makes your life so much easier. And then you get on autopilot, and you know exactly what you're going to be eating at a certain time. And before you know it, you're 2-3 weeks down the line of a deficit and you've just been eating the same things and you're down a couple of pounds on the scale. These people who are obsessing, trying to be a gourmet chef every night for dinner in a cut, you're just making things a lot harder for yourself. There's a lot of decision fatigue which comes with that, and that accumulates over a diet phase. Just eat similar meals. Just get the job done. Go into autopilot. Similar meals daily. Tick the box, get the job done. It's just going to set yourself up for a much more successful cut that you're going to be able to stick to, right? Just don't complicate it. Number 4, right? So number 5, huge one. Huge one. Carbs pre-training, right? Again, I've spoken about this countless times, and if you're a client who's watching this, you'll know. Now, carbohydrates, the body's preferred source of fuel. That's what it wants to power muscular contractions. Again, if you've went from eating, let's say you're in your bulk phase, if you went from eating 400 grams of carbs a day, and all of a sudden you slash your carb intake to 50 or 100 grams of carbs a day, I guarantee your performance will go to shit. What we want to try and do in a deficit phase, you want to try and keep your carbs as high as you can, as you physically can, while still putting you in a good deficit. Then you want to bias and prioritize the majority of your carb intake pre-workout. So how does that look like? Now, let's just say an average person, let's say you're dieting on 200 grams of carbs. It would make no sense to go into the gym on 0 carbs or go into the gym having a meal which might have 40 or 50 grams of carbs in. It's not really a lot of carbs. If your total daily carbs are 200, you want to bias a good 50% of your daily carb intake 2 to 3 hours before you train. So if someone has programmed you 200 grams of carbs, you want to eat at least 100 grams of your carb intake for the day pre-training. That is when you need it most. Think about it logically. I always say this one, but if you're training in the afternoon, after work, whatever it may be, 4 or 5 p.m, are you going to need your carbohydrates sitting on your ass at night watching the footy, watching Netflix, whatever it may be at 8 or 9 o'clock? Are you going to need your carbs then? No. When are you going to need your carbs throughout the day? Mainly going to be pre-training when you get in there, because you're getting after it with a big leg session or whatever it may be. If your fuel's up going into the gym, again in a deficit, if you put your carbs pre-training, your training is only going to be better. You're going to perform better. You're going to lift more weight for more sets and reps. The chances of you retaining your muscle tissue skyrocket because your performance stays good. Because if you're going in the gym on low carbs and you're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into a deficit and your performance is tanking, muscle tissue loss will come with that. That is the big key with a deficit. It's holding on to performance as much as we possibly can. And carbohydrates pre-training just help you do that. So that's the big thing with carbs and why you want them in. Bonus tip, intra-workout carbs. Again, sipping on some liquid content can be dextrose, maltodextrin, some sort of cane sugar, whatever it may be. Even something as small as 20 grams of sugar, sipping on that while you're training. Again, it's just when you need it most, okay? And if you can fit that into your macro structure throughout the day, you'll see the benefits of it, right? But maximising training performance and holding on to that as much as you possibly can, that is king in a deficit to retain your muscle tissue, right? And then just a bonus tip, getting more into the mindset of things. All of this doesn't matter if you haven't got the resiliency or the resilience to keep moving forward on the tough days, because they're going to come in a deficit. There is no fucking two ways about it. There's going to be days you do not want to do it. And this is where the grit comes in. You have to grit your teeth, okay? Then it's the consistency element of it. It's no good doing all this for 2 or 3 weeks. You're doing this for 2 or 3 months. Consistently, keep moving forward, right? Again, said in the last video, become a champion of the process. Absolutely vital. What goes on up here, body will follow. Remain strong with it. Get stuck in. Again, resilience, massive. Right? So, hopefully that helps you all out. Any questions, any other video ideas you have, drop them down in the comments. Make sure you're subbed. Share the video for me as well. But any questions you have, let me know. And as I said at the start of the video, I appreciate all the support. We're only going to be getting bigger. All right, I'll speak to you in the next one.